steps into the lineup with his first start at second base in 5 years. Doug Fister goes for an 11th win in 15 starts, intent on maintaining his perfect record at home. The first place Nats host the rival Phillies right now.
Great thing about baseball, after a game like last night, there's a game the next day. So Bill is at attention, so are we, for game 2 of the Phils and the Nats. Nationals still have their game-and-a-half lead in the East, thanks to a guy named Kershaw, who took care of the Braves last night. Bob and FP, let's talk about this second base shortstop thing with Cabrera. Hasn't been there in a while. What kind of an adjustment is it if he goes back there on an everyday basis?
Well, a little adjustment, especially with his new double play partner, Ian Desmond. Cabrera used to be on the shortstop side of second base, now moves over to second base itself. So get to know your new teammate today. Ian Desmond and Cabrera turning some double plays during batting practice. Just watching his actions, it's like he never left the position that he played every day in 2009. Used to turn twos with Omar Vizquel, pretty good mentor, then moves to shortstop with the Indians, and now he turns double plays with Ian Desmond. But getting to know the staff, Rich Shue, the hitting coach, and it's going to be a process for him to get comfortable in his new environment, new teammates, new coaches, new ballpark. But he's a professional, Ian Desmond a professional. It shouldn't be that big of an adjustment.
Yeah, Cabrera hitting .246, 9 homers, 40 RBIs in 97 games with Cleveland, and he's played nearly 700 games at shortstop since the last time at second, but he's played almost a full big league season at second base.
Well, his range is a little bit diminished, so second base might actually help him, but we can't wait to see the Nats' latest addition.
Can't wait to see Doug Fister. He's 10-2 with a .269 ERA in 14 starts. A win Sunday at Cincinnati. The man was brilliant. He's won 4 in a row, 10-1 in his last 13 starts. And the only guy better than that in baseball, a left-hander out in L.A., who we talked about a moment ago. 5-0 at home. It's the Doug Fister Show. The Phillies in town to see it.
Brought to you by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Comfortable, cloudy, cool. Friday night at Nationals Park, here come the Nats. They're taking the field for their 52nd home game of the year. They're 30-21 here at Nationals Park. Visit trainsearch.com to find your local Train Comfort Specialist dealer. It's hard to stop a train, really hard, so the humidity is up. Temperature 76, not much of a breeze. And the Nats will have a new look defense behind Doug Fister in a moment. First of all, the Phillies, who put 10 runs on the board on 17 hits last night. Ben Revere right in the middle of it. He went 4 for 5. Jimmy Rollins went 3 for 4. And Revere's 9 for his last 20. Rollins 5 for his last 10. So stopping those two guys at the top of the order, led off by the speedy center fielder with 30 steals. Big for Doug Fister and the Nats tonight.
All right, look at the arsenal for Doug Fister. Fastball 88 miles an hour. He'll two-seam it, throw it 4 seams, but the sinker, the main pitch for Fister. Slider, curveball, change. He'll throw any pitch in any count. And he's coming off a big-time gem at Cincinnati on Sunday. 4-2 win. Limited the Reds to 3 singles and a walk in 7 outstanding innings. Struck out 5 Reds in 104 pitches.
Got the Nats a series win with that performance. And the first pitch of the ball game is a fastball up in the zone. Ben Revere at 306, 5th in the league, as our graphic told you. And he is a big-time threat to get aboard the way he's swinging the bat lately. Against Doug Fister. Saw him in the American League when Doug was a Tiger and a Mariner and Ben was a Minnesota Twin. 7 of 18 against him. And a bouncer left side. Rendon wants to cut it off, and he will. The throw took LaRoche into foul territory, 1 out.
So the defense for the Nats behind Doug Fister, Harper, Span-Worth, your outfield, Desmond, Rendon, and the new addition as Drupal Cabrera at second base, LaRoche and Ramos. There he is. Number 3. Watched him take grounders during batting practice today. Very smooth and looked very comfortable at second base. And it's his 150th career start there. Just been a while.
Better part of 5 years. There's Jimmy Rollins, who's hitting .245. Doug Fister with a fastball whistling in. Rollins against the Nats right-hander, 1 for 5 career. Steps in hitting .245, and Jimmy flashing some power this year. 15 home runs. From the left side, he's batting .249. Trip Gibson, rookie member of the umpiring crew. Crew chief Tom Hallion, third base. Eric Cooper at second, Chris Guccione at first. Want to pitch up, fouled back, and Doug Fister well ahead of the first 2 batters. Nats are coming off a 14-10 July. 10 games over 500 combined the last 2 months to get to where they are right now, 58-48. That's outside. 1-2. Right side, Adam LaRoche. He'll lead Fister to the bag. Doug Fister always where he should be defensively. And a couple of quick outs on ground balls. Early game notes for you. 1.92 against the National League East. The career ERA for Doug Fister. Denard Span, this kind of snuck up on us. 26 games in a row on base. He's also hitting .332 at home. And the Phillies now going 4 months this year and 4 months back into 2013 with losing records. Right now they're 13 games under 500, 11.5 back of the Nats. Fister misses 2. Chase Utley.
Well, that might explain why we don't see 45 buses outside of Nats Park that are packed with Phillies fans anymore.
You are correct. It used to be tough to get out of our own parking lot on the first base side from all the buses feasting here from Philadelphia.
Well, let's say the Nats took back their park and then some.
Then they took back the curb.
Yeah, we couldn't get out of the A-line. Back in the day, the buses would be blocking the entrance.
1 ball and 2 strikes to Chase Utley, hitting .287. And against Doug Fister, career 1 for 5 with an RBI. Ryan Howard in the lineup tonight, so an important man to retire if you can
to keep the big RBI guy off the field in the top of the first.
You know who's going to hit the first foul ball in this booth? Giancarlo Stanton. That's my money's on. Straight back up here all the way up to the booth. He's the only guy in the big leagues I think could do it. No?
I'm with you. Yeah, I don't know if anybody can do it. It's going to have to be a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Right.
It's up around somebody's eyes and then perfectly sliced right up to us. I still contend that the only thing that'll ever fly up here is something that says Titleist or Nike on it. Swing and a miss. Doug Fister pulls out the swing and miss stuff to blow away Chase Utley. 55th K of the year against only 11 walks. And now Roberto Hernandez takes on the Nats. That young man's pick to click tonight.
I'm going to take Morski right there in front of him.
Into the ballpark they come, and hitting seventh as Jubal Cabrera tonight. 246 in 97 games for the Indians, 378 at bats, 305 on base percentage, so that's about almost 60 points above his batting average. And he's about to be double figures in home runs as soon as he hits one for the Nats. Matt Williams calls him a professional hitter. There's a lineup full of them facing Roberto Hernandez tonight.
Yeah, fastball at 88. A changeup usually his best secondary pitch, but he's been going to the breaking ball, the slider, more often at 84. Been throwing that more. It's been a big part of his weaponry lately, and he's coming off a nice one. Got the 4-2 win Sunday. Excuse me. Last start on July 22nd against Arizona, a 4-2 win. 7 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs. Struck out just 1. But his command was perfect.
And Chase Utley will get a ground ball that the pitcher tried to reach but couldn't. And Denard Span in his 35th career at bat against Hernandez, retired.
Very confused there in my notes. Both pitchers coming off 4-2 wins as you look at the Phillies defense. Sizemore, Revere, Bird the outfield. Rollins, Ashley left side. Utley, Howard right side. And Carlos Ruiz behind the plate. Ryan Howard back in the lineup tonight at first.
Yeah, the big man has driven in 63 runs this year, despite hitting .222. Next up is Anthony Rendon, 0 for 3 against Hernandez when the Nats were playing a Sunday afternoon game at Philadelphia on May 4th. He gets jammed a bit. Slow roller. Rollins has to hurry here, and it is close. Rendon is out.
We might have us a review.
Anthony closing quickly on first base.
Matt Williams on the top step. He's going to take his time. He's got this thing down to a science right now. No need to hurry. If you don't have to go all the way out there and you can get a thumbs up or a thumbs down before you get out there, you don't even have to take a trip, and he got the thumbs down before he even got out there.
And Jason Worth taking his time, going nowhere near the batter's box.
That is close. That is real close.
Wow. Jason Worth coming off a .337 July. And against Roberto Hernandez, formerly named Fausto Carmona, he is 4 for 6 with an RBI. Hernandez shut down the Nats on that Sunday game in Philadelphia, May 4th, combining with Adams, Bastardo, and Papelbon on a 4-hitter, a 1-0 game. He outdueled Gio, who pitched really well that day at Citizens Bank Park. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Do you think there's some school of thought that you really don't want to challenge a play in the top of the first inning on an infield single?
Yeah, I think so.
That even though it may be really close and close enough to challenge, that it's got to be beyond a shadow of a doubt. And you don't want to use your challenge that early in the game, be wrong, and not have one for 8 innings.
Yeah, maybe the only time those rules change a bit would be September, mid-September, late September, a pennant race game where you got to have every base runner you can get.
Wow. And we don't have our Exmo cameras that we normally have for this series.
1, 2, 3, go the Nats, just like the Phillies. And in both innings, you mentioned they come off 4-2 wins, both of them, 2 grounders and a strikeout to start.
Like that jersey, so we're going to scratch that out, but the rest of them got it right. No scores. We head to the top of the 2nd inning. Nationals fans are invited to participate in the Harris Teeter Food Drive. That's benefiting the Capital Area Food Bank at Nationals Park this Saturday and Sunday when the Nats take on the Phils. Fans who donate 3 or more cans of food can receive a pair of tickets for an upcoming Nationals game while supplies last. For game tickets, call 202-675-NATS or visit nationals.com/tickets.
Ryan Howard is at 16 home runs this year, driven in 63. So the power numbers, at least half of them down. The RBI total okay. Left knee got him last year. DL in July, only hit 11 homers, drove in 43. He's not been a healthy guy the last couple of years. You might remember that Achilles on the last play of the Phillies 2011 postseason. He's been banged up for 2 years, and that's a fastball upstairs, 2-1. Ryan Howard, 34 years of age now. Plenty of damage against the Nats, that's for sure. Doug Fister has a high fastball going tonight. He got Chase Utley with it to end the 1st inning.
Well, it's usually his out pitch. He'll get you looking down below your knees for the sinker, and then he'll elevate with 2 strikes and try to get you to chase up there.
2-2 up the middle, but there's an infielder there, and that's Anthony Rendon. Often crosses past Ian Desmond to play that on the shift. So Doug Fister Talking about a game June 5th against the Phillies right here, and he was outstanding in a 4-2 Nats win. 2 runs, 4 hits in 7 innings, didn't walk anybody, and 5 strikeouts.
Yeah, the curveball that day, if I remember right, was the pitch that he went to more times than not.
There's Marlon Byrd. He goes up hacking.
I'll tell you what, Carp, I looked out at that ground ball that Ryan Howard just hit, and I failed to notice the shift, and I thought, wow, that Cabrera guy's got a really good arm. And it was Rendon playing second base.
Yeah.
Hey, the new guy's got a cannon. No, wait, that's Rendon.
Well, we'll see it. You don't play shortstop unless you've got a great arm. And Doug Fister saw an opportunity there to maybe grab that ball before it went foul, but he couldn't get it. Always on the hustle defensively.
Well, you say severe and serious and all kinds of different jamages. This is ultimate jamage. Watch this. Ball is not carrying to right field tonight. That is a nasty sinker from Doug Fister, and Marlon Byrd, a good hitter, and
severe.
Didn't get all that one. No, that was ultimate.
Usually severe has an out attached to it.
You got a guy with 20 home runs that swings as hard as he can and hits a ball like that. That's ultimate jamage. That was nasty. And he's one of the better hitters on the Phillies or in the National League.
Byrd 2 more hits last night. He has 36 multi-hit games on the year. 1 behind Denard Span. And now Doug Fister goes upstairs to strike him out. 5 in a row. And on the Mercedes-Benz pitch track, the right-hander has it going on right now.
Well, you throw one in and then you throw one up and in. You see Marlon Byrd trying to get to it. He had a big hit last night to left field. A couple of RBIs, and Doug Fister tying him in knots first at bat.
There's Grady Sizemore, who had a big hit in the 4th inning to open up that 5-run frame for the Phils last night. He's on a 5-game hitting streak with his new ball club. 9 for 25, and Fister keeps pumping strikes. These two have seen each other before. It's been a while. 1 for 6 with an RBI in the Fister-Sizemore matchup. Not with the Phillies yet, when Fister faced them back in early June. Gets the high strike call, 1-2.
Grady Sizemore didn't like the call. Turned back to Tripp Gibson and said, whoa.
We're told it even missed the pitch track.
It was a tad up.
And the pitch track loves strikes. And a 1-2. Well, he figured why not go up there again.
Well, tried to climb a ladder. Pitch number 3, pitch number 4, just a hair higher.
And that one went cutting inside 3-2. Grady Sizemore, 16 games for the Phillies, hitting .328. Hit just .216 for the Red Sox. And the ball popped up to the left side. Ramos a chance to look back, and it looks like it got into the 3rd row. .266 career hitter in 8+ years, and he drills one deep to left center. Bryce Harper chasing it, and he can't make the connection. Sizemore to second. He'll stop there with 2 outs. Off the bat of the left-hander, that had a little swing back action to it, slicing back over the top of Bryce Harper's ball cap.
It looked like Bryce was very aware of the fence that was quickly approaching. Grady Sizemore gets all this one going the other way. Bryce Harper tracking it, kind of took his eyes off it and then slowed down at the end. Almost looked like he was bracing for contact right here. Knew the fence was coming and chopped his steps. When you chop your steps like this at the end, you know what it does? It makes your head bobble all over the place and the ball starts to move in the air. Kind of overran that and couldn't correct. Pretty good swing by Sizemore. That ball was hit.
Let's watch the first pitch here because Carlos Ruiz has been first pitch hacking. That one unswingable way upstairs. Now Ruiz 9 for his last 18 on a 4-game hitting streak. Pretty impressive swing by Grady Sizemore going the other way. Hit that ball about 370. And Fister missing up high again, 3-0. Carlos 1 for 3 against Doug. Not that close on 4, and that's a rare 4-pitch walk. I have a hard time believing he pitched around Ruiz to get to a left-handed hitting Cody Ashe, who had a good night here last night, but we'll see how the lefty-righty matchup, the veteran against the youngster, works out.
Well, knowing Doug Fister, he's still got a base to play with, and he has command. Even though you put another guy in scoring position, the pitcher's on deck. Hernandez is on deck. He does not have to give in to Ashe here if he doesn't feel like it.
True. It doesn't have to be first base open. I like your point.
He is a little quick right now, and he is flying open.
Ramos out and Desmond in. Here comes Ian. Five starts at home, 5 wins, under 2.5 the ERA, just over 200 the opponent's hitting. Doug is second in the league in winning percentage at .833. There's another pitch way upstairs.
Well, the only problem if you're going to pitch around Ashe, especially now that you've fallen behind 2-0, is you get Hernandez up there. You got to be able to throw strikes. Right now, it seems like Doug Fister's lost his release point.
And Ashe will gash it to right. Grady Sizemore will score. Heading for third is Carlos Ruiz. And the Phillies, who pounded the Nats last night, off to another good start here. The number 8 hitter, hurting Washington.
Surprised he threw him a fastball here, falling behind 2-0. But he grooved a fastball, Cody Ashe on it. And he puts the Phillies on top for the second consecutive night.
Yeah, and Ashe, who didn't start the game last night, now 2 for 4 in the series. And even Steve McCaddy felt the need to get out there and talk to Fister. The hitter is Roberto Hernandez, the pitcher. 2 for 34 this year, with an RBI and 6 sacrifice bunts. Everything up. That one got enough of the zone.
You see the first pitch, top of the zone. Second pitch, top of the zone. Doug Fister really fighting to get that ball down. A lot of times, we talked about it before, that off speed will get you out in front, slow you down a little bit, get you to your release point.
Got a piece of it.
Good pitch, though. Seems to me, just seeing Doug Fister now for a few months, that he's working faster than normal. And he's thrown just a few fastballs here so far. 100%. Well, that was a slider right there, so that can't be right.
Want to pitch up, chop to the right side. Cabrera, first play as an at. Easy one for him.
He looks good at second base to me, Bob.
That was a great arm on that play. We'll see more and more from him, and I think we'll like it. Phillies on top.
To add Asdrubal Cabrera to their roster, and instead of sending down Blake Trinan, who they brought up yesterday to give them an extra arm in the bullpen, it was Aaron Barrett who got optioned to AAA Syracuse today. Matt Williams said there are a few reasons that played into that. First of all, Barrett has gotten a lot of innings so far this season. He's appeared in 40 games and was on pace for the heaviest workload of his career. So the Nats can kind of manage his innings down at Syracuse and stretch him out a little bit so that he's ready for them in September and October. Also, Barrett had kind of struggled since getting that balk called on him by Joe West. And the Nets want him to work out some mechanical issues down in a lower stress environment. But additionally, this impacts Ross Detweiler as well. Barrett had been working some high leverage situations in 6th and 7th innings. And Matt Williams said that because Detweiler has pitched so well, he's kind of evolved into the bullpen role that they saw for him coming out of spring training. They want to give Detweiler more of those high leverage spots. So Barrett going down clears up some opportunities for Detweiler, and it'll allow Barrett to kind of ease things out at AAA, and the Nats say he'll be back before too long.
And part of that, Blake Trinan, really more of a starter, long reliever type of guy out of the bullpen. So that's Dan with a FCA sideline report. The association is FCA for global security professionals.
Well, with the call-ups on September 1st, you'd think Barrett would be back. In pennant race baseball, you need all the good arms in your bullpen you can get. So go down there, figure a few things out, come back. Thought his last 2 outings were pretty good. Hung the slider to Giancarlo Stanton the other night, but he had a good inning besides that one pitch. And his last outing wasn't that bad either. So work on some things, be back, and pitch some big innings in the month of September.
Adam LaRoche didn't start the ball game last night. In an interesting little twist, with the game out of reach, he pinch hit for Danny Espinosa in the bottom of the 9th. He was 0 for 2 with a walk in that game, May 4th against Hernandez. Gets jammed on that, and the pitcher may have to catch it, and he doesn't. And Adam LaRoche, who wasn't running hard, now goes to second as the ball gets away. He's going to end up at third base on a little league triple. The ball was not in the air that long. Hernandez acted like he was going to catch it, and evidently Rollins couldn't get there, and all heck broke loose.
Well, that might be the best there goes the no-hitter in the history of my broadcasting career. And that might be the best hit in the history of Adam LaRoche's career. Look at this. Straight up the elevator chute. I got it. No, you got it. I got no. Oh. And then Ashley throws it down the line. And Adam LaRoche, who wasn't running, you're right, Carp, a good throw might have got him at first base. Didn't anticipate that ball dropping. Watch where he is. Just getting to base. He would have made it. Check that. But gets all the way to third base. So I'm going with a leadoff triple by Adam LaRoche. That's how I'm putting in my scoreboard.
Officially, it's a single with a two-base error. Unbelievable break for the Nats. Tying run at third, nobody out in a 1-0 game, and here's Ian Desmond.
Well, that's just the shift, I guess. Ashley was way over at shortstop, and if he's playing his normal position, he has that in his back pocket. Still, I would want my third baseman to call off my pitcher 101 times out of 100 on that play.
Yeah, the ball was in the air long enough. Ashley, 10th error of the year. Phillies 57th. They have the third fewest errors in the National League. And Ian Desmond looking for RBI number 65. Good take for him, and the count's even 1-1. Up the middle, RBI, and the ball goes through for a base hit. Matt Williams said today that one of the things he learned late in his career from Dusty Baker was that if you wanted to drive in 100 runs, you had to be able to hit the ball hard on the ground up the middle in different situations.
Well, you just can't be in pull mode in these situations, or else you're very vulnerable to a pitcher taking advantage of a pull swing. What I mean by that is if you're up there trying to yank a ball in an RBI situation, they throw you curveballs, fastballs away, whatever, and you're not going to get to them. You think about going up the middle the other way, your hands are in the right spot, and you're using the big part of the ballpark to drive in a run. Nice swing right there by Desmond.
Yeah, and Matt said sometimes it's funny when you're up there at the plate, you look up the middle, and it looks so crowded with the pitcher, the shortstop, the second baseman, the umpire, maybe a base runner. He said, but if you could look at it from where we see it, you'd see how much room there is, and Ian Desmond converts perfectly. Last night, Bryce, a base hit, his second time up. A couple of ground balls and a strikeout.
I think what Matt didn't say there, and what he would have said if he had more time, is that you have to get a pitch to do that with. It's not like you go up there and try to take an inside fastball and push it up the middle. Something out over the plate, something elevated, but your mindset is what he was talking about, is I'm going to hit the ball right back where it came from.
That was a bunt attempt on 0-1. And to be honest, lately the Nats have had some strange bunting situations and results. Bryce, by the way, 13 hits his last 13 games, 8 walks, 7 runs. I mean, over that 2 weeks, hitting .310.
It'd be one thing if he, was really good at it and could get like a hit a week base hit bunting, but it just seems like he fouls off more bunts than he puts in play, and the ones he does put in play seem to be very fieldable.
Runner on the move, and Harper to right center. It is dropped by Marlon Byrd after a dive. Desmond hustles to third.
There was a weird little deal around second base with Ian Desmond, and I think the Phillies are going to come out and maybe argue this. He touched the bag. Then I don't know if he went across the bag back to first base and didn't retouch it, but it looked funny from where I was sitting. And a great effort by Marlon Byrd to try to rob Bryce Harper and double up Ian Desmond, because he would have had Ian Desmond, but maybe we can look at it together again right here. Good swing by Harper. So forget the bunt, hit a line drive. Good effort by Byrd, didn't stick it to his glove, and it got real interesting. Let's watch Ian together right here. Does he have to retouch second because he took that jab step back to first, I guess is my call, and I don't think he does. Nobody's arguing it.
Yeah, it was kind of a matter of where did he take the step. Crazy inning. And now a double play on the ball hit right at Ryan Howard by Asdrubal Cabrera. Tough break. Within inches of an RBI. Maybe more in his first Nats at bat.
A good swing. Ball is absolutely smoked. Denard Span going to come over. Number 2 going to console number 3. Got a changeup right there and absolutely drilled it. Boom. Nothing Bryce Harper could do except for get doubled off.
Wilson Ramos.
I'm just going to say, based on one at bat, it's not a very good trade.
Yeah. Looking for a hard hit ball, it was.
Just kidding, of course.
Target way out there.
Ooh.
And a step off.
It's almost a forced balk by Ian Desmond. Cabrera was
about the only thing we haven't had this inning.
Cabrera a lot more pop left-handed than right-handed, FYI.
That ball was drilled. Ruiz nowhere near home plate. I mean, you could have drawn a line from his left knee pad, and maybe it would touch the outside edge of the plate.
Yeah, they're going to walk Ramos. I was wondering what they were doing.
Yeah, first base open, second base open. One number 8 hitter already has an RBI in this game. Doug Fister, 1 hit this year, 2 career RBIs. Five career hits in 39 at bats. Hunting his first Washington RBI. Off speed. Nats finally touch Hernandez for a run in his 9th inning against the Nationals this year. Doug Fister puts a charge into one, and Grady Sizemore has to reach up as that ball really took off on him. Crazy things at the ballpark. 1-1 after 2 with twilight approaching. Feels like the twilight zone.
the third. National season plan holders, easy for me to say, can renew their plans for 2015 and reserve 2014 postseason tickets. Season plan holders who renew before September 5th will also be eligible for additional benefits and daily prizes. For new 2015, the Nationals are introducing Nats Plus, a membership program for the most passionate fans. So even though the broadcaster can't read the promo, you get the point. Renewed. And we're postseason tickets.
We're catching bits and pieces. We've got it all put together here.
Yeah, just Morse code kind of.
You're still shocked.
I'm going to use.
You're still in shock from Adam LaRoche's at bat. I know you are.
I'm going to use smoke signals on the next one. I think it'd be more effective.
Top of the third. Doug Fister just had a visit with Anthony Rendon. I don't know, maybe talking about what do we do if Ben Revere bunts? After what you saw the last half inning between a pitcher and a third baseman, maybe not a bad time to visit. Revere bounced out to Rendon to start the ball game. Can he get on base enough and steal enough bases to be an outstanding leadoff man in this league? Well, I think he can. He's only 26 years of age. 285 career hitter. It's not like they've been knocking the bat out of his hands for the last few years. And he hit 305 for the Phillies in 88 games last year. Doug Fister evidently told Rendon, anything up the middle, I got it.
Let's hope he's okay. See where it got Doug Fister. We always talk about how he can field his position as good as any pitcher in baseball. Wants to win a Gold Glove. It's one of his goals, and that's doing it the hard way. Well, I'll tell you what, Ben Revere is locked in. 4 hits last night, and none of them cheapies. And this one right on the barrel, Doug Fister makes a nice play, stays with it, and he's okay. Probably said something like, check the ball, you can't hurt Steele.
Hey, bottom line is Ben Revere's 0 for 2. He killed the Nats last night. Jimmy Rollins is next. He pulled the ball first time to Adam LaRoche. This one to the left of Cabrera. Spins, throws. Welcome to town, sir. Outstanding play, 2 outs.
That was smooth. And he's getting a standing ovation right now from Nats fans. So the first real tough chance for Cabrera goes to his left, to a slide up, and gets rid of it quick. Not a problem. Talking to people around the ballpark that have seen him play extensively in Cleveland, said that the Nats got better defensively with the addition of him in the infield. And that's saying a lot with Danny Espinosa, who I think is as good as any second baseman I've ever seen defensively. So that was nice.
Chase Utley now. As Fister tries to get the first 3 Phillies in order for the second time.
Matt Stairs, the color analyst for the Phillies, was in the booth earlier, and he had played a lot against Cleveland in his career, and he said, FP, he's a lot like Omar Vizquel. He'll use the bare hand. Very smooth, makes hard plays look easy, and easy plays look easy, and that's the sign of a good defender.
2-0 pitch. Well, and he probably picked up some of that playing next to Omar. He was his second baseman for a while.
You'd think, right?
If you don't watch a guy like that every day, you're wasting your time.
Yeah. The best I ever saw defensively, Omar Vizquel.
2-1 pitch. Nissan will track it to the inside edge.
Little swing back piece.
It's a debate that raged for many years with certain baseball fans. Omar or Ozzie. Both outstanding, both Hall of Fame type gloves, of course. Ozzie Smith maybe a little more flair, a little more acrobatic. Vizquel more workmanlike, but he had his share of fantastic athletic plays
they're
too.
Both sweet. Whenever you get a good argument like that, both parties are right. Both sides are right.
Yeah. That thing had a ping to it.
Yeah.
Hit off the Nationals Park sign.
Sounded like it hit my glove.
Yeah, either limestone or metal back there, and the ball can do some crazy things. 2-2 pitch. Chase Utley hanging tough. Pfister on a high fastball struck him out first time up. Utley, deep right center. Worth after it, front of the scoreboard. He's got it, and then he braces himself in motion toward right center. 3 stars in the scorebook on 3 different plays this inning.
A lot of leather being thrown around. First, Cabrera to his left with the slide. Great play. And Jason Worth going a long ways for the Chase Utley fly ball. Nats throwing some leather here early.
Of the third, the Nats have the top of the order due up. Let's have a look at the Honda due-ups and what they're doing at home. Denard Span, .330. Anthony Rendon damage here, and Jason Worth in the number 3 spot. Now Dan Coco hangs around the dugout. Denard Span lately, buddy, he's hanging around on the bases every night.
Bob, Span was on fire in July, hit .368 for the month, but that's not the only way he impacted things offensively. He also drew 16 walks in the month of July. That's more than he had in May and June combined when he had just 14. Only 2 players in the majors actually had more walks than Span in July, Giancarlo Stanton and Paul Goldschmidt. And Span has now reached base via a hit or walk in 26 straight games. He's been on fire.
Yeah, they're pitching around those 2 guys because they got popped. Denard Span is the guy they're trying to throw strikes to that can't hurt you with the home run, so that makes that even more impressive.
Came into this game hitting .366 over his last 101 at-bats, going back to the last week of June. Started the night at .290, pulled it on the ground for an out first time, and Hernandez misses low, 2-1.
I'll tell you what, as a former leadoff hitter that walked a lot, there was times when you're just seeing the ball so well that you would look the pitcher in the eye and you could see that he knew that you weren't swinging and that he had to throw a strike, and would put pressure on himself to throw you a strike. And I've seen the same thing happen with Denard Span. They get frustrated because you don't swing.
Well, Ruiz was set up away, had to reach across to the inside edge. It was a strike, even though not where the catcher set up, and the count's even 2-2.
And they really get frustrated when you start fouling pitches off in 3-2 counts and spoiling pitches, and they figure, well, you know what? Forget this. I'm going to walk them. After about 8 or 9 pitches, you could see the frustration.
2-2. Span up the middle. Jimmy Rollins to his left. The man still got game at the age of 35. 1 out.
Well, if you like defense, you tuned into the right game. There's been some dandies. I think the mound actually kicked that ball just enough back to Jimmy Rollins to where he could make the nice play going up the middle. And if you watch Jimmy in BP, that's a play he practices. Oh, we just got our Player of the Month ballots. I wonder who I'm going to vote for. Is the Gnome on here?
He is.
Can you vote for the Gnome?
No, you got to vote for the player.
I mean, look at the Gnome's on base percentage is fantastic.
And by the way, guess who has one of the highest batting averages in all of baseball in July? Denard Span, 368. I'm just trying to jumble things up for you a little bit.
Yeah, way to get in my head. Way to build a condo right in my head.
Chris Coughlin hit 376. It's the only batting average I see higher than Span's. Anthony Rendon pulled the ball to Jimmy Rollins first time. 2 balls, 1 strike. Anthony Rizzo, 8 homers, 15 RBIs for the Cubs this month. Some other guys had more RBIs. And July, good month for the Nats. 4 more games over 500 to get them 10 over. Even though they lost 3 of their last 4 of the month this week. Anthony Rendon knew what to do with that 2-1 pitch. He's aboard with 1 out. Let's go inside the numbers with Jeep. So the Nats, what they did, March, just a game or 2. And then April, May, 10 over in June and July. Runs per game up slightly. Scoring position hitting up considerably. Starters down a run, that's awesome. And the fielding percentage took a quantum leap. By the way, the Nats got the Mats when I look at the manager. They got passed up by San Diego last night. 3.16. The Nats staff ERA 3.17. First time in weeks the Nationals haven't had the lowest earned run average in the league.
So I'm looking at this. Denard Span has the most hits out of anybody on the Player of the Month candidates list. 35 hits in the month of July.
Right in there.
Jason's slugging percentage, though, at a ridiculous .687.
On Tuesday, July 1st, Denard Span was hitting .265. He took the field at .290 tonight. 1-1 to Worth. A lot of hitting room right side.
I mean, for me, it might come down to Denard Span's bobblehead versus Jason Worth's gnome, and who I vote for. Because I break it down to that degree.
And a good fastball to the outer half by Roberto Hernandez. 2-2 to Worth. Later tonight, Atlanta at San Diego. Mike Minor and Eric Stoltz. The Braves just got a taste of Dodger pitching. Now they've gone down the road to San Diego. The ball club, as I mentioned now, with the best staff ERA in the league. Big ballparks can be dead at night out there. We'll see how the Braves fare this weekend. It was close enough to be swinging.
Oh, here it is. Speak of the devil. Jason Worth Garden Gnome, August 5th, 7:05. Against the Mets. First 25,000 fans to get one, and I have one sitting right here on my desk, and I will show it to you in a little bit.
It is hilarious.
It's great.
I'm not sure anything's ever captured the man, the myth, the right fielder better than that.
A little sawed-off Jason Worth sitting here on my desk. I like it.
2-2. On the move is the runner. Worth hits almost behind Rendon. Chase Utley took a swipe at him to try to get a double play, and Anthony able to escape to second base.
Pretty good at bat right here by Jason Worth. Good jump by Rendon. He tries to shoot that hole vacated by Chase Utley. Utley does a nice job of putting on the brakes. Thought about getting Rendon, but that was inches away from being first and third and inches away from being a double play, and neither happened.
Up to Adam LaRoche. First time up, he jacked.
He did.
A single.
It was crushed.
Right by the pitcher's mound. Ended up at third base when Cody Ashe threw the ball away. And every parent whose kid ever played baseball or softball has seen a play just like we saw in the second inning tonight.
Not at the major league level, though.
Well, that's true.
I wonder if that's the best hit he's ever gotten. I can't wait to ask him tomorrow or after the game tonight. Guys will tell you, they get robbed so many times. Guys making dive-in plays, highlight reel plays, best defenders in the world. Do you have zero pride when it comes to what your hits look like? You take them any way you can get them.
Hernandez misses. One ball game. Bottom of the third. Adams driven in. 55 runs this year on 13 home runs. And he'll bounce it to the right side for Ryan Howard. Hernandez to the bag to beat him. Nats get a base hit. They've had 4. And after 3 interesting innings, it's on to the middles here at Nats Park.
Series against the Nats. Ian Desmond with a base hit and an RBI to get the Nats on the board. Doug Fister doing his thing. So a 2-0 pitch to Cody Ashe with runners at first and second, 2 outs, and Roberto Hernandez on deck scores Grady Sizemore, who hit a bolt in the gap. And then Ian Desmond with the base hit up the middle score Adam LaRoche after he hit a triple in the gap right between the pitcher's mound and third base.
Top of the 4th inning. Howard, Bird, Sizemore. And a ball to Howard, who hit the ball the other way. Well, not really. It was to Rendon, the third baseman, but it was where he is right now on the right side of second base near the umpire, Eric Cooper, on the shift.
See, that's like getting messed up in your scorebook. You put 5-3 and there's a shift and you actually pulled it.
I got in the habit of drawing an arrow to where the ball actually went to remind me, and that first time up I forgot to do that. And here's a routine fly ball to Jason Worth for the out.
All right, you know the drill. Send us a photo, hashtag it Mass and Fan Photos for a chance to have it shown in a future broadcast. That's brought to you by AT&T.
Next up is Marlon Byrd. Doug Fister had it going on early. Struck out Byrd after the Howard ground out. Then things got a little strange. The Grady Sizemore opposite field double over the reach of Bryce Harper. The walk. And then the number 8 hitter, RBI given up to Cody Ashe. When we thought Doug Fister might just go ahead and walk him and take on the pitcher. Muggy night. Starter working up a good sweat. Counts even 1-1. Reds have an early run at Miami. And they have 2 on in the top of the 4th. After one of the most controversial calls of the year at home plate in their ballpark last night. Cost them a 1-0 lead, maybe the game.
It's awful.
Giancarlo Stanton, great throw from right field. Catcher makes an adjustment to catch the ball. Base runners 10 feet away, and they called him safe because he couldn't get to home plate.
Mathis was catching, and he actually looked down as Stanton was catching the ball.
Wow.
To make sure that he was in the right spot. The throw took him a little bit up the line, and Zach Cozart, the shortstop for the Reds, was 10 feet away. Nice curveball right there from Doug Fister to retire Marlon Byrd for the 2nd time on strikes.
Yeah, if you get a chance to see that thing online, check it out. And our great friend Tommy Hutton, the Marlins analyst, as passionate as I've ever heard anybody about any play ever.
It's a great,
and I think he was absolutely right.
Yep, great call. Captured the moment.
Didn't you tell me that challenge took over 6 minutes?
6.5-minute challenge.
Wow.
And they would go on to say that he was safe. It turned the game around. The Reds won it 2-1. And Tommy had a great line saying, if they call him safe, this may change baseball the way we know it. And I believe that he was 100% right.
1 ball, 1 strike. Fister to Sizemore, who got the Phils rolling with 2 outs 2 innings ago.
Stanton had the best line after the game, Carp. He said, so that you're telling me if my catcher's blocking home plate when the runner's not even to third base yet, that he's blocking home? The throw took Mathis into the play.
Yeah, it's going to happen again.
When it happens in a World Series, that's when it's going to get serious attention. Could you imagine if that was a Game 7 or a Game 5 in an NLDS or an ALDS? I mean, the rule has to be looked at. The rule has to be changed, and common sense has to prevail. It was a perfect throw on the money that got the runner by 10 feet, and they called him safe. I don't care what happened.
Fister went off speed, and he walks Grady Sizemore with 2 outs. 2nd walk of the game. The other, Carlos Ruiz, who is walking in now. But I think you bring up a great point. You could look at the replay one time and say, if there's any common sense to this, the runner's out. But they looked at it for 6 minutes and got the thing topsy-turvy.
Well, you used to have guys running catchers over. Now you got Zach Cozart crossing home plate with his both hands up in the air like, I have nowhere to slide, so what am I supposed to do? That's not the way this game is meant to be played. I'm sorry.
Right on the edge. And 0-2 to Carlos Ruiz. And Doug tried to go off speed, front door there. 72 way inside. Nats lead the season series over the Phils 6-4, 3-1 here. And after tonight, 2 more here. And then a repeat home and home between the clubs one more time. Well, Grady Sizemore used to be an outstanding base stealer. Just looking over his numbers when Phillies picked him up a couple of weeks ago. Never a 40 guy or 50 guy, but 20 to 30 many times. Doug Fister shakes off the base runner, strikes out Ruiz, and a gorgeous night in D.C. for baseball.
Ah, the Bellagio.
To the bottom of the fourth inning. Everything looks pretty innocent, but here comes Sharknado. Havoc last night on the field, and now there's another coming from center field. Teddy down. Bill down. Tom down. George, Abe. Teddy up, and he's back down.
It was an F5 Sharknado on the show, and that one was way smaller. That was like a negative F5. And there was no blood, so that's good.
Wow.
I mean, you have to watch it, Cart. It's so dumb that it's awesome. Seriously.
I can watch the news every night. Desmond robbed by Chase Utley. One crazy play when there was no defense. Everything else has been outstanding glove work tonight.
Well, both pitchers working fast. Roberto Hernandez has picked up his tempo the last 3 or 4 starts, and he's keeping his defense on their toes. And a nice play by Chase Utley, stealing a hit from Ian Desmond. Good swing by Desmond, second one in a row.
Yeah, Desmond almost 2 for 2.
That play right there is why you take the Adam LaRoche single. If you're a major league hitter, don't care what they look like.
Bryce Harper dropped one into right center off the glove of the diving Marlon Byrd. Ball was several feet off the ground when Byrd got to it. He just couldn't squeeze it. So Bryce now 14 hits in his last 14 games.
Kind of see where his weight's going. It's starting to lean toward his dugout again. We showed you, I think it was in Miami when we drew the line on him and his head was perfectly still. It just goes to show you how hard it is to keep a consistent swing at the highest level every day. It's an everyday challenge, an everyday thing you got to work on.
And Bryce took an outside pitch, served it foul.
You see the lean though, right? Just kind of spinning out of there and running out of bat. Stays on it nice, but watch where the weight's going. Spinning out of there down the first baseline.
44 pitches, 28 strikes for Hernandez through 3. 2-2 to Bryce. Defensive swing out to short. Rollins a backhand, and he gets the hustling Bryce Harper by a step, maybe less. 2 outs. As Asdrubal Cabrera hit the daylights out of the ball, his first time up as a Nat. Right at Ryan Howard, who just had to step to the bag to double Bryce Harper off.
Yeah, I never went through it as a player, but it has to be so weird being traded, right? You're with one team one day, in one league one day, playing one position one day, and then a day later you're in another league, another team, in a different position. Can't be easy. You talk about the stuff you don't see behind the scenes, the family, having to bring everybody to a new city.
Well, we heard a great story from Matt Williams today about his little son. He was all upset and crying because he didn't think he'd get to go into the clubhouse anymore. He'll be here tomorrow, and Matt said we will fully outfit him with Nat's gear, and we will open our arms and welcome dad and son to Nationals Park. But that's how little guys look at the game.
Yeah.
You're not an Indian anymore? I can't come in the clubhouse?
Well, my son was in 2nd grade before he realized that everybody's dad wasn't a player.
Line drive, and Jimmy Rollins on that one up the middle. So Cabrera has hit 2 line drives on the infield. We're going to the 5th inning in an interesting 1-1 game. It's our Navy Federal Credit Union troop recognition. Once a member, always a member. Navy Federal Credit Union. And whether you're from California like Doug Fister or Venezuela like Asdrubal Cabrera, we appreciate the sacrifices our men and women make for us every day. Top 5, Ashe, Hernandez, Revere. Doug Fister hasn't given up a hit since the 2nd inning.
Well, he's making adjustments, and you talk about the repertoire. 1st inning, 10 fastballs, 4 sliders.
0-1 pitch, base hit.
Last inning, he threw 4 fastballs, 4 sliders, 4 curves, and 4 changes. So it seems to me he went through the lineup the first time with fastballs, and now he's showing everything to the Phillies 2nd time through.
Bunting opportunity for Roberto Hernandez, who's done it 6 times this year. He'll lay it down. And Fister will let Ramos take it. Wilson Ramos was heading toward first base there. Sacrifice good. It'll go 2-4.
All right, just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one on this Friday night, to look forward to Miller time later in the game. That's brought to you by Miller Lite.
Beautiful sunset out there to the northwest.
It's a great shot. Look at that.
August evening. The dog days of August are here, but it was 76 degrees at game time. Just a beautiful mid-Atlantic sky tonight. Ben Revere 0 for 2. Ground ball to Rendon, and the hot shot off the hip of Doug Fister. Gathered it, gathered himself, and threw him out.
Be real careful right here. This guy's on fire.
Usually we talk about open bases when you're facing power hitters, but hot singles and doubles hitters just as dangerous in a ball game. 1-1 fifth inning. There it is, base hit. Worth on the charge. Ashe around. They're going to send him. It's a good throw and out. Ramos reaching with the tag. Jimmy Rollins was playing running coach. Chase Utley was in the hole. And here comes Ryne Sandberg on one of these plays we just got finished talking about.
Well, perfectly done by everybody. Ben Revere, who's as hot as any hitter I've seen the Nats play this year, continues to barrel up the baseball. Pete McCannon sends Ashe, and Jason Worth with a perfect one-hop throw. And Ryne Sandberg out to see if Wilson Ramos was in the right place or not. And let's all take a look. Yeah, his foot's in fair territory, and we're good. Perfect throw by Jason Worth. It's horrible that we even have to talk about where Wilson Ramos is, because that was executed as good or better than the Giancarlo Stanton throw in South Florida last night. Nicely done by Jason Worth. Nice tag by Wilson Ramos.
Everybody did everything right. Cody Ashe with a nice slide by the catcher, trying to slam his hand down on home plate. Ramos got him. Now we'll see if Revere tries to get the scoring position with 2 outs. Jimmy Rollins will foul it straight back.
I'll tell you what, in Pete McCannon's defense, the Phillies' third base coach, I've said this before, outfielders practice throwing the ball in batting practice every day to second and third. They rarely practice throwing the ball to home plate. I think that's why you see third base coaches sending runners a lot, especially Bob Henley. We've seen that this year because teams don't really work on it like they used to. The old-fashioned infield, Carp, you threw 2 to home every single day.
By the way, that was Jason Worth's 6th outfield assist of the year. Took a while between number 5 and number 6. He was among the league leaders about a month ago. But opportunities don't present themselves often, and he took advantage of that. And Doug Fister made that close at first. Jimmy Rollins all locked up there.
Slide step slider.
Nissan will track it.
Quick delivery by Fister. And a nice slider under the hands of Jimmy Rollins.
Fastball will punch him out up in the zone. The young umpire, Trip Gibson, started the game tonight with a high strike zone. Jimmy Rollins doesn't like it. Jason Worth gunned down Cody Ashe at the plate. Defense all over the place tonight.
Metro Silver Line now open. And they bring you our next 5. Upcoming schedule tomorrow night. Jordan Zimmerman, A.J. Burnett. It's a 7:05 first pitch. 1:35 on Sunday. Steven Strasburg and Cole Hamels. Some marquee matchups on the mound in this series. Beautiful evening. Wilson Ramos leads off, bottom of the 5th.
Sunset, no filter.
Ramos jacks one down the line. Hooking foul. That was interesting. The hitter didn't move, and the home plate umpire, Trip Gibson, came hustling out from behind the catcher to get an angle on that case. He had to help Tom Hallion. Wilson, 3 homers this year. The power will come back. It's hard to say when. But that was a good swing. I mean, the guy's coming off a broken bone in his hand. Suffered right at the end of spring training, right into opening day.
I wonder how many guys in the major leagues hit 4th one day and 8th the next.
You know, somebody who had a really bad day in the cleanup spot, but it wasn't Wilson Ramos. He was 1 for 4 with an RBI hit, but you're right. Very unusual in this interesting lineup. Ramos a late reaction on a changeup. And that was Roberto Hernandez dropping front door on him for strikeout number 2.
All right, when the Nats win, everyone wins all season long. When the Nats win and score 7 or more runs, you get 50% off regular menu prices at papajohns.com by entering promo code NATS50. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's, official pie of your Washington Nationals.
Doug Fister hit the ball hard first time up, lined out to Grady Sizemore. That was with 2 men aboard in the second. One of his best swings. And that hot shot down to Ryan Howard, 2 outs.
All right, folks, Nats Park, Saturday, August 16th is a place to be. Pirates in town, so that's going to be a great series in and of itself, but you add Martina McBride to the mix. It's the last post-game concert series. I think there's a Faith concert series after. Performance is free with your Nationals game ticket. Visit nationals.com/Nats Live for tickets. Martina McBride.
Seven straight now for Roberto Hernandez, and 9 of the last 10.
It's pretty amazing to me how consistent Denard was in the month of July with all he's got going on in his approach at the plate. The whole stand up and then kind of squat to hit thing. There's a lot going on pre-pitch that has to be absolutely perfect for him to be that consistent. You see him standing up right here, and then he'll just kind of sink down right there and then go. It's his trigger to kind of get his momentum going toward the pitcher and get his swing going. But the more you have going on, the more you have that can go wrong. He hasn't had anything go wrong in over a month. He has been locked.
He's going to get some votes for Player of the Month. And that's low and inside. 1 ball. Now 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, Hernandez, another good night against the Nats. Nearly 5 innings. 1 run, 4 hits. The only run he's given up to Washington in nearly 12 innings this year. The former Fausto Carmona, 33 years of age, 6'4", 230. It's a 19-game winner for Cleveland in 07. 6-13 for Tampa Bay. 35 games, 24 starts a year ago. Bernard Span drills one, and he has his first hit of August. And he's aboard for the 27th game in a row. A chance now for Anthony Rendon here in the 5th.
just so consistent of just dropping the barrel on the baseball. I mean, find me a swing that's more simple in the big leagues than Denard Span's. So good with 2 strikes, and even when he's ahead in the count, just not a lot to it. Very simple. Plays pepper. Sprays the ball wherever it's pitched.
Rendon pulled his base hit last time.
You'd think Denard would be trying to steal, but you saw Hernandez right there speed up his delivery.
Denard 20 for 22 stealing. 7th in the league in that department.
Well, he's smart about when he goes. Number 1, he usually picks an off-speed pitch. Number 2, he has the green light, so he only goes when he gets his best jump. He'll at times take 2 or 3 steps and realize that, hey, the pitcher sped up, or I didn't get my best jump, and he'll choke it off and get back to first base. But how many times do you see a leadoff hitter just steal for the heck of it? And I played with guys, Carp, good base stealers, but they got thrown out a lot because they really didn't have a whole lot of rhyme or reason for when they went. They just get out there, they had the green light, and they just go, oh, I feel like going this pitch. You know, Denard Span studies pitchers. He sees their tendencies. He knows if the time is right, the pitch is right, and the pitcher's time to the plate is such that he has a good jump.
Up and in, ball 2. %91 efficiency. The Nats are 58 out of 68 this year. And while only 9th in the league as a team, the percentage right up at the top.
Those 2 caught stealing were pickoffs at first.
No catcher's thrown him out yet. 2-1. Rendon high in the air, slicing away from Marlon Byrd and just into the seats.
I'll tell you what, Marlon Byrd plays hard, and he plays a pretty good right field. He made a couple of nifty plays last night, sneaky good plays. Look at this effort. I mean, he dove for a ball in the gap, couldn't hang on to it, and the wall, not a factor. The more I see Marlon Byrd play, the more I'd want him on my team. He plays the game the right way. I was feeling that one a little bit.
Yeah, those walls are padded, but you're still hitting them at nearly full speed, even if you've slowed down a little bit, feeling that track. Two-two to Anthony. 1-1 ball game, and he'll hit it out to center for Ben Revere. Inning over. The Nats have stranded 4. We're going to the 6th inning. Chase Utley, Howard, and Byrd coming up. Good crowd. Nice night for ball. 1-1 game. Top of the 5th inning with Chase Utley, Ryan Howard, and Marlon Byrd, a combined 0 for 6 tonight. Utley pinned Jason Worth up against the scoreboard last time up.
I'm putting in my notes right now. Trip Gibson, high strike zone.
A lot of hitters have filed that away already, haven't they?
Yep.
Count is 0-2. Doug Fister, a lot of pitches because he had to throw 28 in the 2nd inning tonight. And kind of trying to recover from that all night long. 81 pitches into the 6th inning. And he goes off speed, buries it. Utley took it. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Update in Miami. The Marlins have tied up the Reds 1-1. It's been a good pitching, not a lot of hitting series so far. Matt Latos going for Cincinnati tonight against Justin Turner. Phillies box. First hit for them. Grady Sizemore, the 2-out double in the 2nd. After Ruiz walked, Cody Ashe ahead in the count. A single to right. And that's the only hit the Phillies had until they had 2 last inning. But the Worth throw out of a runner at home, huge to keep them off the board. Chase Utley out to right center again, and his former teammate Jason Worth is under it.
Carp, I was looking today. I was trying to tell people that there's a lot of season left. I remember in 2001 when I was in Oakland, I looked at the record. On August 1st that year, our ball club was 57-50, so 7 games over 500. That team went on to finish 102-60, went 45-10 the rest of the way.
Oh.
So when you're looking at how much season there is left, and that's 10 games over 500, there's no reason why that can't happen here. Maybe 45-10 is a little bit crazy, but it seemed like we won every single night. But you got Jermaine Dye at the trade deadline. Not a huge blockbuster deal, but a solid player that turned out to be a really good player in Oakland. Went on to have a fine career. We talk about Asdrubal Cabrera. Not a blockbuster deal, but a solid player, a guy who's played postseason baseball. Once you get on fire and you start clicking when you have talent, there's no reason that something like that couldn't happen. And the reason I wanted to bring it up in the broadcast today is because to illustrate how much time is left in a season and how a season can change so quickly after the trade deadline.
Let me ask you one question about that ball club. Were you guys pretty healthy all year, or did you have issues from time to time to deal with?
Healthy, running out the same lineup every day. Giambi, Tejada, Chavez, Johnny Damon in center, Jermaine Dye in right, Terrence Long in left. So, guys named Hudson, Zito, and Mulder were the staff. But still, once you get that feeling, that thing, that you're going to win, you're down by 3, let's score 4. Down by 2, well, we'll score 3. Doesn't matter. That can happen. It can happen quickly.
Doug Fister going off speed. Ryan Howard out in front a couple of times. All those names you mentioned, it's one of the reasons some people have a little trouble with the whole Moneyball thing, because the movie kind of ignored the fact that your team had a lot of star players on it. I mean, the guys that Billy Beane picked up, they certainly filled in, they augmented and made that a complete ball club. But man, you talk about talent to burn to start with.
They're a pretty good club. The wild card that year, and I was talking to Jamie Moyer, the color analyst for the Phillies. He was a Seattle Mariner that year. They won 116 games. He said it was like Disneyland, just walking into the clubhouse every day. He said they didn't lose more than 7 or 8 games ever in a month, and it started in April and just continued throughout the season. The one team they couldn't beat was the Oakland A's, and I reminded him of that, of course.
Sure you did.
Absolutely. His response to that is, we had to lose to somebody. I guess that's right? You won 116 games.
That's amazing. That ball is drilled by Marlon Byrd the other way, and the Phillies have the lead. And that's not the first time or the first ballpark
in which Marlon Byrd has done that to the Nats this year. Opposite field to lead 2-1.
I mean, I may be crazy, but if I'm a ball club in a pennant race, even though the trade deadline is passed, this is a guy I want on my team. I mean, he's a clutch hitter. He's got pop. Anybody can go opposite field like that in this ballpark shows you they got pop. And the way he's played right field and how hard he's playing, like I said, I'm sure there's some teams that want that guy in a pennant race.
Doug Fister gives up his 11th home run of the year. Isn't that just about the same location in Philadelphia where he hit that 3-run shot against Steven Strasburg earlier this year? Power all over the place for the former Nat and former a whole lot of other teams, Marlon Byrd. Brady Sizemore the hitter. By the way, you know, they say don't ever start a story on the air with 2 outs. Something to think about during the break. Jamie Moyer, 269 career wins. 5-10 years from now, what retired pitcher will have that many? You wonder if a guy like that could be a Hall of Famer. Even though he wasn't a big strikeout guy.
He's a Hall of Famer in my mind.
Didn't pitch in World Series, but 269 wins.
He just used to throw dead fishes up there. You couldn't hit him anywhere.
Let's talk about some Hall of Famers. University of Maryland University College takes us back in time. It was Hall of Fame weekend on this date in '82. How about this class with Hank Aaron and Frank Robinson being inducted, and some other guys included on that list. In fact, Travis Jackson, a Giants infielder for 15 years in the 20s and 30s, and Happy Chandler, who was the commissioner of baseball when Jackie Robinson broke the color line. Took a while for Ruiz to get out of the box on the bouncer to Rendon. Couple of hits in the inning. Marlon Byrd has given the Phillies the lead, and they've been a headache to Jason Worth, Adam LaRoche, Ian Desmond, and the rest of the Nats in this series. Bottom of the 6th, straight ahead. Beautiful Nationals Park on a Friday night, 1st of August, 2-1 Phillies. And the Nats, a pretty selective ball club, but pretty good control by the opposing pitcher tonight. And for every Nationals walk this year, Care First Blue Cross Blue Shield contributes $50 to support Girls on the Run DC. So over $16,000. Worth, LaRoche, Desmond. Intentional walks count, right?
Yeah.
Wilson Ramos walked intentionally earlier this evening. Jason Worth, the strikeout and a ground ball. And he's 1 for 10 since turning his ankle on that base running play
Monday night, and he should have been 2 for right there. Unlucky on a laser to Kobayashi.
Well, Doug Fister lined out to left. Cabrera's lined out 2 times in his first 2 Nats at-bats. Ian Desmond hit a bolt to shortstop for an out. Now Jason Worth joined the club. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lineouts by Nats hitters tonight. So they're swinging the bat well with nothing to show.
And of course, then there's LaRoche making up for 1, maybe 2 lineouts, with a little bloop on the infield, resulting in the Nats' only run back in the second.
Yeah, what a weird game, huh?
Big shift on Utley right field, rank pull position, as Ray Knight would call it. Jimmy Rollins on the edge of the infield, right near the umpire, Eric Cooper.
By the way, Ray Knight's the only one I've ever heard in 25 years of professional baseball use that term. I've never heard it before.
Yeah, I heard it a long time ago. It must be something goes back to 70s, maybe 80s, even before that. But I've heard guys called a rank pull hitter.
I don't even know what rank means. Is it like first, second, or third in the BCS pool?
No, it's much more scientific than that.
Right.
(3-1). Adam LaRoche deep to center, backs up Revere right in front of the track for the second out. Nats box in that second inning, 3 hits, and as FP mentioned, the unlucky results for the Nats tonight. Cabrera would have put the Nats on top, but as Ryan Howard was holding Bryce Harper right near the bag, he lined out right into his mitt, and he stepped on second. And since that double play, the Nationals have 2 harmless singles.
Well, we've been saying it for a few days. The Nats are due for a tater. And they've hit some balls hard here tonight. And they're a power hitting ball club that just has run into a little spell, whether it be the ballpark, the pitching they're facing, or whatever. They're due.
And Ian Desmond's hit the ball well twice tonight. Jeep takes us inside a drought. 8 games without a homer since LaRoche in Colorado a week ago Tuesday. Longest streak since '91, when the Nationals weren't even born yet. And franchise record to 69 Expos, going way back to expansion.
79 innings.
Desmond hits it sharply again. Kobayashi to his left, and the Nationals go in order in the 6th inning. 8-9-1 due up for the Phillies. 2-1 visitors.
7th inning. Getting late, folks. It's brought to you by Mercedes-Benz of Arlington and Mercedes-Benz of Alexandria. And let's check out the new guys. Drupal Cabrera, his first game as a National. So it must be weird, right? New city, new league, new position. First time up, first pitch, bullet to Ryan Howard. Hits into a double play. Tough luck. Good swing, though. Made a nice play at second base, going to his left into right field. Plenty of time with a spin move. Beauty. And a soft liner to Jimmy Rollins. So if you're just joining us, that's been the night of the newest Nats player.
Top of the 7th inning, Cody Ashe to the gap. Jason Worth, no problem. Doug Fister just threw his 100th pitch of the game. He's due to bat 4th in the 7th. Let's hope the Nats get a guy or two aboard and get something going at the bottom of the order. For his sake, he's pitched a good ball game tonight. He faces Roberto Hernandez, who's 0 for 1 with a ground ball and a sacrifice. On the attack, throwing strikes, and he misses to the opposing pitcher.
Well, he knows if he gets through this inning, his team scores him a couple of runs in the bottom half, he'll get himself a win. So he's got to get through this inning to qualify, and he knows it.
Right at Cabrera. For the Achiever in UPNC Bank with our minor league report. Quincy Lattimore came over to the Washington organization during the season. A left-hander at Harrisburg AA. And this left fielder doing big-time things. 364, slugging. Better than an RBI per game the last week and a half. Guy we haven't checked in on until tonight, and we're impressed. And you know that there were young guys in this organization that Mike Rizzo was asked about a lot the last couple of weeks. You know, I keep hearing the names, Giolito and Steven Souza Jr. I haven't heard any talk about Tyler Moore, whether anybody was maybe taking a run at him.
I'm sure Mike Rizzo got calls on a lot of guys. I think Quincy's nickname when he gets to the big league is going to be the corner.
Jack Klugman, right?
Yeah.
I know a little bit about pop culture. We just used to call it television. Ian Desmond has it, and we arrive at the 7th inning stretch. And Doug Fister is having a good ball game tonight. Harper, Cabrera, Ramos. 6, 7, and 8. They've all got power. Next.
Is presented by authority of the Washington Nationals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Washington Nationals. Baseball on the rubber and a vehicle coming across the bridge. Right across the Anacostia to Nationals Park. Masson's social media weekend got started here at the ballpark today. Hair Cuttery presents it. And all weekend long, fans have chances to win great prizes, exclusive opportunities. Check out @MassonNationals on Twitter for more. Share a haircut with a child in need. Find out how at haircuttery.com. And for those of you desperate for entertainment, Carpenter and Santangelo will make a visit to the fairgrounds tomorrow from about 6:10 to about 6:30.
Yep, he'll be out there.
Or Santangelo and Carpenter if our partner's in the lead. We go bottom 7. Bryce Harper in a 2-1 game.
Well, it's go time right now if you're going to win this ball game. Tyler Clippard getting loose in case the Nats score a couple right here, but it's about that time.
Bryce 1 for 2. And Hernandez misses.
The changeup has been good all night from Hernandez. He's been throwing it when he's behind in the count. I wouldn't be surprised if he throws Bryce Harper a 2-1 changeup right here.
He did.
And guys get into patterns, and yet as a hitter, it's easy to say up here when the game's moving slow. You have that little man in your head saying he's coming fastball, but if you pay attention, even when you're not hitting, to patterns that guys get in, it gives you a better game plan when you get up to the plate. And every once in a while, you can sit on one of those pitches, even though you're ahead in the count.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Harper hits it hard, and it's foul. Ryan Howard couldn't catch it, had some hook on it, and about 2 or 3 feet to the right of the line.
Now Ruiz going to go out there and talk to Hernandez and say, hey, let's make this guy beat us to the big part of the ballpark. He's got pop, and I think trying him in might not be a good idea, and it just lands foul. I wouldn't be surprised if they go change up away right here. Bryce Harper smelling his bat, see if it's got a hit in it.
Antonio Bastardo should be fresh. He only faced 1 hitter in the 3rd inning last night after Cliff Lee had to leave. They put Lee on the DL today, added left-handed reliever Cesar Jimenez to their bullpen. Bryce Harper on a pitch away, couldn't get to it. 1 out. 3rd strikeout by Hernandez, who doesn't fan many, but he sure gets some outs.
See the future stars of the Washington Nationals. Woodbridge, Virginia, the Peanuts. Go to PotomacNationals.com or call the number on your screen. That's something that as Bryce gets older and the game slows down for him a little bit, that when he pulls a ball hard like that, you can think about the other side of the plate late in a 1-run game, because you know they're really not going to try you on anything inside that you can pull out of the park. Like I said, it's really easy up here when the game's moving slow.
Yeah.
You get in that batter's box and your brain's going 1,000 miles an hour.
Cabrera last year, 14 homers, 64 RBIs. Number 2 for American League shortstops in both categories. He went 16 and 68 the year before that. Back in 2011, when he went to his first All-Star game, he had 25 home runs and drove in 92. And he's hit the ball pretty well on the button 3 times in a row. And Grady Sizemore, maybe losing it in the lights and slipping, still makes the play.
I don't know if he slipped or he just tried to create an angle where the ball got out of the lights. But either way, as Drupal Cabrera has hit the ball hard 3 times, lined out 3 times tonight. And you got to like what you've seen from the swing. Yeah, just kind of ducking underneath the lights. And the low line drives, they get in that bank, and the bank is right over the Nats dugout, so that makes sense. Hernandez digging it because there's the bank of lights right over the dugout.
Check swing, and Wilson Ramos will go quietly, and so will the Nats. 7 in a row, and the streak goes back 14 out of 15 by Hernandez. Ocean City, Maryland. Put your vacation days to good use in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at ococean.com. That's the Anacostia Ocean. Right to the first base side of Nationals Park. Great night for baseball. Well-pitched game on both sides. Doug Fister, a lot of tough luck, and Tyler Clippard will take over for him in a moment. By the way, do you have anything I could use to maybe dress up my deck or my backyard or something?
No,
like
but
that?
I have something you might be able to use for some runs in the bottom of the 8th inning, and it's the Jason Worth Rally Gnome.
There it is.
So we are going with this. I got a sneak preview of it. You'll be able to get it soon, and right now we're going to use it for a few runs. But Doug Fister pitched as good as he can pitch, and the Nats pitchers have run into some tough luck lately. You talk about Gio Gonzalez and the 1-0 loss to Johnny Cueto in Cincinnati. Yeah. Doug Fister doing his thing here, and the bats got to start figuring out a way to get to Roberto Hernandez. Has done a nice job mixing it up, the changeup, the slider, keeping everything down. And I think more important than that is pitched into some good luck. 6 lineouts tonight for the Nats. They've hit the ball in the screws with nothing to show. And as Asdrubal Cabrera, first game as a Nat, no luck at all. 3 lineouts, but swung the bat well.
You know, and it's not just home runs, doubles, change games, extra base hits. Those have been lacking as well.
Yeah. You know, they haven't really had any luck with extra base hits or home runs, but hey, you just got to keep hacking, and they have to know that the Rally Gnome is good for a few. So Tyler Clippard got to keep it right where he's at.
Well, Tyler Clippard not used to pitching when the Nats are behind. He'll throw that changeup on the first pitch and retire Jimmy Rollins to start off the 8th inning. 106 pitches, 74 strikes for Doug Fister tonight, who can't get a win, and hopefully the Nats would get him off the hook. So Fister, 2 earned runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts tonight in 7 high-quality innings. And by the way, for Doug, it's the 9th time this year he goes 7 or more.
I mean, he's going to give you 7. He's going to give up 2 runs. If you score him 3, you win. That's just what he does. He goes out there and battles with whatever he's got for 7 innings every time. And the most he's going to give up is 2. Another focused effort from Doug Fister.
Chase Utley 0 for 3. Struck out. Pulled it twice, once deep. He gets jammed on that one, and Tyler Clippard has him inside outing the ball. Out to Bryce Harper. 2 quick outs. Ryan Howard coming up. Let's check in with Dan.
Guys, I think it's important to know, we talk about the trade deadline passing yesterday, and it's probably important for fans to know that that was the non-waiver trade deadline. That doesn't mean that no deals can happen just because yesterday's 4 p.m. deadline has passed. If a player passes through revocable trade waivers, he can be traded to any team. Or if a team puts in a claim on a player who has tried to be passed through waivers, then they can try and work out a trade with that player's team. The Nats the last 2 years have made a deal after the non-waiver trade deadline. They got Kurt Suzuki in August 2 years ago. They got David DeJesus and then flipped him to the Rays a couple days later last year. But Mike Rizzo has shown that he's willing and able to make deals after the non-waiver trade deadline. So don't think that the Nats might not be looking for a bullpen arm that they can add to what they've got down there in Matt LeCroy's pen.
Well, there are a couple of interesting elements to that, and Dan brings up a good piece of the whole story. There's no doubt about it that trades after July 31st are a lot harder to make because they have to pass through waivers.
Well, you can block them.
And yeah, and Mike Rizzo was asked about that today. You know, some teams will block a guy from going to a ball club they're contending with. This ball way out into the outfield, and we can chat about this some more when we come back for the bottom of the 8th. Hopefully talking about that and a rally as Tyler Clippard, well, 1, 2, 3, real quickly.
Of weighted bats, 2-1. We're heading to the bottom of the 8th inning. We promised you early in the game. Here it is. You wait for it every night. There they are, a couple of Nats fans on pups in the park. And that is obviously a schnauzer that they have there, or a poodle. I'm not sure. Maybe a chihuahua, but either way, that's a beautiful animal.
Well, if you ever get hired by the Humane Society or the zoo, it'll be amazing.
Nice little doggy.
Right now, the Nats looking for Nate McLeod to dog the Phillies here. He'll be hitting for Tyler Clipper to lead off the bottom of the 8th. Nate McLeod against Roberto Hernandez, 3 for 12 with a walk.
I'm actually holding the Jason Worth gnome to see if it has any power whatsoever.
Ball 1.
So far, so good.
And Nate, the kind of guy, he can get the infield on the move with his speed. This guy's been impressive. Last time out, 2 runs, 4 hits, 7 innings against Arizona. McLeod to Howard. The big man gets that big body behind it. 1 out, top of the order, Denard Span.
Free T-shirts, folks. Stop by any Cox Solutions store right now throughout Virginia area for your free T-shirt. Visit Cox.com for your nearest store while supplies last.
Denard Span, by the way, on base 27 games in a row, ties Jonathan Lucroy for the 10th longest streak in baseball this year. It's the longest current streak. The longest, Jose Bautista of Toronto, 37 games. Carlos Gomez, 35. Puig and Napoli, 33. Paul Goldschmidt, 32, the top 5.
Unbelievable.
And look at this. Denard Span, as the Nationals continue to line into nothing but bad luck. Unbelievable. The grab by the pitcher. 2 quick outs.
I mean, Hernandez has been good tonight, but he definitely has a horseshoe somewhere, because this is the 7th lineout by a Nats hitter in tonight's game. 2 have been to the outfield, 2 to shortstop, 1 to first, 1 to third, and now 1 right back at the pitcher. Unbelievable.
As Carmona and Hernandez, he has pitched 3 complete games in his career. And with his pitch count, he is a definite candidate to come out for the 9th.
I hope I didn't hurt any fans when I just threw the gnome out the press box.
Well, there's still time for a rally. That ball by Rendon hit high in the air to left. Sizemore back. He's waiting for it. And really, that's as close as the Nats have come to a home run in quite some time. Another 1-2-3. That was on 5 pitches in the 8th inning. He's retired 10 in a row and 17 of the last 18 Washington hitters. Saturday, 7 o'clock. A.J. Burnett, 6-10, but he's 10-4 career against the Nats. And then there will be Jordan Zimmerman. He beat the Phillies on June 3rd with 8 innings of 5-hit shutout baseball. 6:30, Johnny and Ray, Nats Extra on Masson tomorrow night. Game 3 of the series. And right now the Phillies trying to make it the first 2 in their favor.
All right, just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and this has been the difference in the ball game. We're going to go back to the 6th inning. Marlon Byrd, who struck out twice against Doug Fister. Got a ball down, but it was out over the plate. Not really a mistake by Doug, but Byrd, a good hitter, beat a good pitch. Didn't get it where he wanted to, but you think he'd get away with one down there in the zone. He didn't.
Rafael Soriano, first appearance since the nightmare on Monday. That's a breaking ball for a strike. To Marlon Byrd, who's 0 for 2 career against him. So Bird's hit 21 home runs now, tied with Troy Tulowitzki for 3rd in the league. And he's driven in 63. Soriano sneaks it by him at 83. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Mercedes-Benz will track it.
No slider right here from Soriano. Does just enough to miss the bat of Byrd.
Nasty slider.
A good pitch. Down and away, and Byrd strikes out for the 3rd time tonight. 3 Ks and a home run in there in the middle. DC area Toyota dealers want to help children and their families by making a donation of $37 to the Children's Inn at NIH for every strikeout by a Nats pitcher this season.
There is activity in the Phillies bullpen. Jonathan Papelbon is throwing. He did a little mopping up in a lopsided game last night. Grady Sizemore, the hitter here. I don't know. Anybody but Hernandez looking good in the 9th. That may be the case. That ball hit well by Sizemore, and Worth at the scoreboard. He's got it. Feeling his way up against a barrier that doesn't have any padding on it, and then finding himself in the perfect spot.
Well, the defense in this game has been outstanding on both sides. Phillies have made some great plays. The Nats have made some great plays, and Grady Sizemore wishes he was in Citizens Bank, because that would have been a homer here. Jason Worth back to the fence. It's an out. Nice play by Worth.
Ruiz 0 for 2 with a walk.
This might be one of those games where it's everybody at home's fault. I think during the break, everybody needs to change seats. I'm going to change seats too. I mean, when you're lining out to everybody, it's just bad luck. So change seats, everybody.
Outs are coming quickly. Pitchers throwing strikes, hitters not wanting to get to 2 strikes. And Soriano with one of his quickest 9th innings of the year on 9 pitches. Here we go, bottom 9. Is it Hernandez or Papelbon?
For baseball, nights except the score. The Phillies have a 2-1 lead as we head to the bottom of the ninth. Johnny Holiday with Ray Knight inviting to stick around and be with us for our next extra postgame show once this ball game is over. One swing of the bat for Marlon Byrd tonight, the difference in this game.
Yeah, Doug struck him out twice in off-speed stuff, then got a fastball kind of middle down, actually, and he inside out of that ball. Ball shoots out of this ballpark to right center field. We said that several times. But what a game defensively. And the Nationals, you know, they only have posted, 6 hits, 5 hits. But they smoked the ball tonight, Johnny. At least 8 balls I've marked down as balls that were scalded tonight. Unfortunately, just right at people.
And Cabrera, good contact all 3 times he went to the plate tonight.
Yeah, he looks good. He's a ball player, Johnny. He's a ball player. He swings the bat well, knows how to play the game. Very high baseball acumen. Made a couple good plays at second base also.
Another good performance for Pfister. Threw a lot of pitches, but got through 7 innings.
Yeah, just the same thing. You know, he looked sharp tonight. All night long he looked sharp. A few more pitches early. Aided by that ball that Bryce didn't catch in left field. That ball probably should be caught. It hit him in the wrist. He wasn't up against the wall. That cost him 13 more pitches. So that cost him an inning and made him a little less pitch efficient.
All right, so we'll see if we can break it down for you. Hopefully be talking about a Nationals win and see if they can pull it out here in the bottom of the ninth. Let's go back up top to Bob and FP.
Thank you, gentlemen. 3 outs to go. Jonathan Papelbon takes on Jason Worth. Worth is 2 for 8 career against him. And maybe at this stage of the ball game, anybody looks more hittable than Roberto Hernandez has tonight. Fastball up, and Worth was pumping.
Well, 3-pitch guy, fastball, slider, split is the out pitch. And Papelbon very outspoken before the trade deadline, saying that he wanted to go to a winner. Hasn't been pitching well. There's a theory that he was trying too hard to get traded. So we'll see if the Nats can get to him here in the ninth.
25 saves on the year in 28 opportunities. Way outside to Worth. Jason 0 for 3 tonight. LaRoche 1 for 3. Harper 1 for 3. Holds on too long. Ball 2.
First swing might have scared Papelbon out of the strike zone. Remember, Washington, D.C. Lexus dealers donating $250 to Children's National Medical Center for every home run a Nats player hits this year. Lexus, the pursuit of perfection.
2-1 pitch. Worth another healthy rip. Drew Storn up in case the Nats would tie the game. Worth got a pitch out over the plate. 2-hopper, deep short, and Jimmy Rollins just keeps it going with the great defense tonight. 1 out.
I'll tell you what, the guys that have been around like Rollins, they have that clock in their head. They know exactly how much time they can take, and it seems like Jimmy Rollins gets everybody by about a step, regardless of where the ball is. He knows the speed of the runner, the speed of the ball hit to him, where he is in relationship to first base, and he always gets his man by a step.
Adam LaRoche 1 for 3. And career against Papelbon 3 for 10. The fastball misses outside. One. And LaRoche drills it to left. The Nats need it to drop. It does. in front of Grady Sizemore, and Adam LaRoche is 2 for 4.
Yeah, I think Matt Williams might run for LaRoche right here.
Well, he's got Espinosa.
Down by 1, you get a gapper right here, and I'm watching Williams look down the bench. He's talking to Randy Knorr right now, and they're trying to decide.
No move, at least yet. That one comes cutting across the plate. Ian Desmond career against Papelbon, 2 for 10. Desmond with a base hit to left. Reached out, hooked around it. And the time runs at second base. And now we'll see if Matt makes a move with a pinch runner at this point. Bryce Harper, the next hitter.
Well, nice swing by Ian Desmond. The line is moving. I can tell a lot of people at home have changed seats, and it's working. Stay with it. Stay right where you are.
Bryce Harper. Limited looks at Papelbon. A base hit, and officially 1 for 4. Tying runs at second base with 1 out, bottom of the 9th.
I bet you that's the last place Bryce Harper thought he was going to see a first pitch fastball right down Broadway.
Nissan tracking that one to the very heart of home plate. Cabrera's hit 3 line drives tonight. Target in. Way in there. And I know why you made that little noise, because anything in a situation like this to the pull side could be very dangerous for a closer.
Well, they got Bryce out last time with a fastball away, so maybe that was just a show-me fastball in there. Ruiz going to go out and talk to Papelbon and see if they might try Bryce on the other side of the plate, like Hernandez did last time, and it worked. I wonder what Cabrera's thinking on deck right now.
Harper a long wait, and not surprised that he asked for time. 2-1 Phillies, bottom of the 9th. Bryce late on 92 away.
Well, they showed him the fastball in to get back to the other side. Ruiz can see the leak in Bryce Harper's swing right now, and it's heading toward the first baseline. They're going to give him nothing on the inner half. He's spinning off again. And I would be surprised if they go right back out there. That got a little bit too much plate. Ruiz wanted it off the plate. Papelbon threw it on the plate. I like Ruiz going out here like this. This is a big part of this ball game. If he feels like a sign might be stolen or relayed or whatever, why take chance and put down fingers? Go out and talk to your pitcher and get on the same page. And see the Harper flags right there. They want a base hit. Oh. 94 to pumped up. Last pitch, first pitch. Very hittable right down the middle.
Harper with a great take to get the count even. Fastball just running outside. Two, and Bryce Harper fouls it away. Crowd of 28,410. I've seen one of the most interesting low-scoring games of the year, considering how hard so many balls have been hit and how well both defenses have taken care of those. Ball three.
Good take.
Pitch number 8 of the at-bat, and Bryce Harper has filled the count.
Boy, he loves this situation. He'd rather be in a situation like this and fail than not be in it at all. And everybody in the ballpark on their feet. And here we go.
Harper strikes out on 88. And the Nats are down to their final out with Asdrubal Cabrera.
Well, he dropped the split change right here on Bryce. 88 miles an hour. You see it going down, and Bryce's front shoulder spins out there. He's looking for the fastball all the way out in front. And a big-time pitch from Jonathan Papelbon, a big-time situation. And how about this for your first day as a National?
Now there will be a pinch runner for Adam LaRoche with 2 outs. It's Danny Espinosa.
You talk about having a chance to endear yourself to the new fan base in one at bat. This is good stuff.
And Cabrera out of play left side. One career at bat for Cabrera against Papelbon. 0 for 1 strikeout. And a fastball right under his hands that Trip Gibson said ran back to the corner.
I think it was a good pitch. Just ran back enough. He was diving out there because he saw everything away to Bryce Harper, so he's leaning the other side. And Papelbon stood him up with a fastball in the inner half. It's right where he wanted it. Hey, look at the intensity.
Game over. Jonathan Papelbon mows down Harper and Cabrera, and the Phillies have taken the first 2 games of this 4-game series. The Nats strand 6 runners tonight. They were hard to come by, and the Phillies have come in here and taken 2. For F.P. Santangelo and Dan Poco, Bob Carpenter. Great defense on both sides tonight. Philadelphia 2, Washington 1. 6:30 Nats Extra tomorrow night, and it'll be a good pitching matchup. Jordan Zimmerman and A.J. Burnett. This has been a presentation of Massa. Stay tuned now. Johnny and Ray, Nats Extra postgame straight ahead. And from the booth, so long for just a while.